All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to demystify artificial intelligence. We're going to cut through all the noise, AI, machine learning, LLMs, and give you a super clear picture of how it all fits together. We'll go from the big ideas right down to the tech you're probably using every single day. So let's dive in.
First things first, let's tackle the question I hear all the time. You see these terms, AI, machine learning, deep learning, thrown around everywhere, right? Sometimes it feels like they all mean the same thing, but they don't. Not exactly. And by the time we're done here, you're going to know precisely what the real difference is.
To figure that out, we have to start at the top, with the biggest, most foundational concept of them all, artificial intelligence itself. You can think of this as, the giant umbrella that covers everything else we're about to talk about.
So what is AI, really? Well, at its heart, it's this huge field of computer science all about one thing: making machines smart. We're talking about getting computers to do stuff that, for the longest time, we thought only humans could do, like recognizing faces, understanding what we say, or making really complex decisions.
Yeah, the whole goal here is pretty simple: make computers more useful to us. And the way AI does that is by digging through enormous piles of data, finding all the hidden patterns inside, and then using what it learns to make predictions or even automate tasks for us. That brings us to the next big question, which is, how? How does an AI actually get smart? Well, the main way it does this is through a really fascinating field called machine learning. This is where the magic of learning really happens. See, machine learning isn't separate from AI. It's a part of AI. It's a specific technique. Instead of a programmer writing code for every single possibility, we just give the computer a model and a ton of examples. From there, it figures out the rules all by itself. It's kind of like a student who gets better and better the more they study and practice.
And just when you think you've got it, there's one more layer to this: deep learning. Now hold on, this isn't some totally different thing. It's actually a more advanced, way more powerful type of machine learning. It's the thing that's really supercharged the whole world of AI lately.
So what's the big difference between them? Honestly, it's all about scale. Your standard machine learning is great with smaller, more organized sets of data. But deep learning? Well, deep learning is hungry. It craves massive amounts of data. We're talking about models trained on practically the entire internet. And here's the kicker: its performance doesn't just get a little better with more data, it gets exponentially better. That is exactly why it's the engine behind all the most powerful AI we see today. So how on earth does deep learning pull this off? It uses something called an artificial neural network, which is a system that's actually inspired by the structure of our own brains. Let's take a quick look under the hood. Okay, to make this super simple, let's use a little story. Imagine Minion Bob is trying to guess something, say the price of a jet. He makes a random guess and shows it to his boss, Gru. Now Gru knows the right answer, so he tells Bob, "Nope, you're wrong." So Bob goes back, tweaks his thinking just a little bit, and tries again, and again, and again. That little story is a perfect picture of how a neural network learns. First, it makes a prediction, a guess. Then, it measures how wrong it was. After that, it adjusts its own internal connections. You can think of these connections, which are called weights, as thousands of tiny little dials. The network turns these dials just a tiny bit to get closer to the right answer. And then, it does this whole process over and over, millions, maybe even billions of times, until it gets incredibly good at its job. Okay, so let's recap. We've got the big idea of AI. Inside that, we have machine learning as a method. And a superpowered version of that is deep learning, which uses neural networks. Now let's connect all of that to something you've definitely been hearing about: large language models, or LLMs.
An LLM is basically the final product of everything we've just talked about. It's a type of AI, right? It's built using these incredibly deep neural networks, and it's been trained on a truly mind-blowing amount of text. Books, articles, websites, all to learn how to understand and generate language that sounds just like a human wrote it. But how does it actually do that? When you type a question into a chatbot, how does it decide which words to string together to give you a coherent answer? Well, it all comes down to something that's actually surprisingly simple in concept. It's all about probability. It's basically playing a game of what's the most likely next word. For any string of words, the model calculates the most statistically probable word to come next based on all the patterns it learned during training. So if you give it, "I have a boy who is the model knows from everything it's read that son is a very, very probable next word,
while a word like car is not so much. It just does that over and over, one word at a time, to build its entire response.
Okay, so we've untangled all the techie jargon, but why should you care? Why is basically every company on the planet talking about this stuff nonstop? Let's connect this back to the real world and why it all matters.
The impact is, well, it's huge. AI is helping businesses make way smarter decisions by finding patterns in data that no human ever could. It's boosting productivity by automating all those boring, repetitive tasks. It's even helping build better relationships with customers through incredible personalization. And it's creating smarter products, like a machine that can tell you it needs repairs before it breaks down.
At the end of the day, here's the bottom line. AI isn't some sci-fi concept anymore. It's a real tool that's here today. It's letting companies work more efficiently and make smarter, data-backed choices. It's a fundamental change in how we solve problems, turning data from something we just store into something that can actively help us predict the future.
And that leaves us with one final thought. As these amazing AI tools get better and better at automating tasks, what does that mean for us? What are the uniquely human skills? Things like creativity, critical thinking, empathy, that don't just become more valuable, but maybe become absolutely essential. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.